rise and let's say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We do have everybody present here this morning, so we do have a quorum. I'd like to ask for public comment for our study session. Okay, we're going to take things a little out of order. Did you have stuff that you folks wanted to talk about on the ambulance? I see we have a report.
So you got your March report sitting in front of you. So total 911s for the month, 155 for an average of 5 a day. Just a tick up from last year. Our dispatch and route time still under a minute, 0.81 for the month. You can see the rest of the times there. The median back in service is ticking up a little bit, but I'm going to account that to taking some out of town 911s, whether it be Union, Carl, some of those extend our drop off to back in service time. Emergent, non-emergent transfer numbers are there. A couple fire standbys. We had 3 DOAs. Transported or treated, not transported, or AMAs are 25. 6 free rides. Our MIHs, the report did not populate at the time I printed this, but since then I've been able to pull that number. So our community visits for March were around 15 or 16. Still having a little issue with that reporting system, but that's roughly the number. 4 appointment calls, and then our mutual aid intercepts, most of those are going down to Clark County. We've actually been going down there about once a week lately. PR events with the ending of the COVID era. We're starting to pick up some PRs. We're doing football again, and we did assist with the county COVID vaccinations. We did dedicate an ambulance for standby whenever they did the COVID sites. Second page, you can see our destinations. Still a pretty good spread on where they went. Not a ton of out-of-towners this month, but we do still try to accommodate patient's choice when applicable and available. Our auto pulse, our mechanical CPR devices were placed in service 3 weeks ago. The weekend they were placed in service, it was utilized for a patient out of Royal King, and it did result in a save. He is still currently alive at Carl. Pretty long road ahead, but in the first week they were in service, they did have basically paid for themselves, and like, as far as I'm concerned. So. Carl, I know you said you had some questions. I don't know if now's the time or you want to talk about that later. Later, okay.
Later.
We are wrapping up our EMT class. Our first EMT class we put on, that is coming next week, is their final day. Then this weekend they actually do their skills test out, and then they'll be able to sit for their state test. So, pretty excited about that. Out of the 11 original people, 9 will be graduating. So that is actually a very good percentage for graduation rate for that class. Getting ready to start an EMR class, Emergency Medical Responder, First Responder class, very soon with Simonton, and probably looking at doing one for the fire districts as well. Then this fall, we'll be starting up our second round of EMT program, so we're looking at pushing our education. Hopefully that turns into a full-time position, but we'll have to play that as it comes. Right now, the guy I have doing education is staying very busy. I have a basic that does a lot of the community education, then a medic that does a lot of in-house education, but we're working on really expanding that program. I'm working pretty closely with the fire departments, the districts, hopefully Northern Edgar, whenever we get this situated, to do a lot more interoperability trainings. So look for that to come.
How many of those EMT classes do you do a year? A couple?
Looking right now at 2, yeah.
They're 22 weeks long, so
Takes about 6 months.
at least, yeah. And so some years will only be 1 because of the way that they fall.
Right.
But we also are, there's some meetings happening this week. We are still trying to progress with getting that offered as a senior high school program, just like in the health occupations course. Some students can graduate as a CNA. This would be a dual credit where they could graduate as an EMT also, so they're employable from day they graduate high school.
That program would take the entire school year,
That-
since
but
it'd be
Yeah.
for an hour, whatever their block schedule is, every day of the week.
Well, these people that are taking these EMT classes what's their end goal by doing it? I mean, is it related to where they're working, or are they wanting to get to be like EMTs as a
Most of
profession?
them, yeah, I say most of them are looking to go into emergency services one way or another, whether that be strictly EMS or into a fire service, that some of them require EMT training, but I would say 90% of them are looking to go into the emergency services. You're gonna have that one oddity there that just takes it for the heck of it, but
Mhm.
most of them wanna have their career in the field.
Most of them stay local.
This is our first class, so that'll be
So,
to be
okay.
determined.
In this class, we have a gentleman who is nearing his first retirement, I would say, from a factory position and looking to have a second career in his
Mhm.
life. He's a volunteer fireman, and so EMS has always intrigued him.
Mhm.
We have a couple who work other jobs, and they want this as a side job, EMS as a side job. And then we have one or two that are fire-based, so they will be dual fire EMS. And then I think one or
So,
two that are
one-
just starting out their career choices.
One of them right now is a active parish fire, one of the parish fires, new recruits, so parish fire requires EMS or EMT training, so we're providing their
Mhm.
EMT training for their person.
Well, that's good, because, you know, that, you keep hearing about not having people that are wanting to go into that field.
And this
So-
being a rural community, I mean, it is harder to get people that wanna work EMS in a smaller area.
Mhm.
So, and that's pretty much nationwide, there's a shortage on
Mhm.
EMS professionals, so that was our goal starting classes. We understand that some of these EMTs, only maybe 10% of them are actually going to take the next step and become a medic, but that's 10% we did not have before.
Right.
So that's part of my strategic plan of
Mhm.
growing EMTs, then hoping to try to do tuition reimbursement to get them to be a medic, starting them out at the high school level so that they become interested,
Mhm.
letting them do student rotations with us. I have students today in the ER and on the ambulances, so that they get to see what that's like before they make a college choice of what
Right.
they want to do.
Mhm.
But it's to help grow the workforce from the high school level forward, because most people, once they leave and go away to Lakeland or Parkland or somewhere, they get into a larger EMS system and they don't necessarily want to come back here, because 5 runs a day or 1 run a day isn't as intriguing as 20 in Champaign, where you're
Right.
seeing knife and gun clubs, so.
Yeah.
But we do have the benefit here of providing some of the best pay around, and then also we have probably some of the best equipment in EMS. You know, and we can rival large cities with the equipment we offer. So we actually outperform a lot of large cities, to be honest with you.
Anything else, folks? Thank you. Appreciate it. We'll move on to, first of all, Jeremy, did you want to say anything? I don't think that we're gonna have much to tell you today.
Nope, that's fine.
But, Derek, do you have a synopsis of what you found in,
A synopsis of what I found. Put me on the spot, yeah.
well, are there any?
I did read it,
Well, that's good.
so,
did I.
no, I think the biggest pieces, the biggest question marks I have are the ones we all share vis-a-vis the property, the ambulance, the equipment, things like that, which, obviously there's no clarity on at this point yet. No, I don't have anything beyond that. I was just here to,
Can I ask you a question then?
please.
If
If I
I
can
talked
answer
to
it.
the attorney, okay,
Mm.
you folks as attorney, I know you have, to make sure he knew what kind of timetable we were working on. And of course, the timetable is, we would like the progression of the combination of building, equipment, and vehicles to take place as soon as they can to bid out that,
Sure.
so that somebody could put in a bid on how much, or what to purchase that for, and then move on. Till that happens, we really can't do all that,
Right.
correct?
I don't know, yeah, I don't know how you can do.
I know that three of us have talked to the attorney to impress upon him what needed to be done and as quickly as possible.
Talking about any CAS's attorney?
Yes. Yes, just so he understood that the ball is in his court, and
Right.
until they can advertise for the bid for purchase of those items collectively, then that's gonna be an issue.
Sure.
So that's how they intend to do it too?
That's my
collectively?
understanding
Okay.
from Kevin, is that your
That's my understanding as well.
Kevin is the chairman of the board.
What's the time frame on, I mean, there's legal time frames to do that too.
Well, and I'm not sure, I'm sure they,
I thought
Augie,
the
when
attorney
we
told
bid
us.
out something for people to purchase for the sheriff's sale, how long does he, I mean, those are all pretty much the same, they have to allow, what, a couple weeks for them to arrange for their bid to come in, once it's advertised, would you say? Us, we're selling property, the county's selling property, we have to put it out on bid.
Okay,
And then people who want to buy it,
yeah,
they have to submit a sealed bid, and then we have to probably allow them, what, 2 or 3 weeks once it's advertised?
yeah, I would say so.
So we're up against it, because that's gonna be May, and then we still have to come up with the contract. So-
Right. Well, I mean, so I think it would make sense to have your pre-work done, you know, operating under the assumption that it all goes our way, so we're not, again, caught flat-footed once, you know, the stars align for us. So, and I think, you know, just by dint of what the situation is, you know, all these things, I think, you know, potentially there's maybe more importance on the contract and covering your bases as the county than maybe there was in the last iteration. So, going through those, working with Jeremy. So, you know, at the end of the day, if it falls apart, that's not on either this board or Jeremy, it's on this other entity. So all
Right.
we can do as a board, or you can do as a board, is, you know, have it ready to go, and the minute that's done and he's set, then.
My understanding is that Mark is reviewing the specs, just like you did,
Mhm.
and what was responded to. And we've got it on the agenda in case Mark happens to say, yeah, this all looks appropriate, and then we could approve the bid subject to the conditions that he's laid out in the contract, or in his bid, okay?
And I would say, keep in mind too, that, you know, you can now work as a team insofar as building that contract out and knowing what you're going to need or what you're gonna require to cover yourselves. And then as long as he's, you know, as long as Jeremy can work with you, you know, and it's a back and forth, but all that can be done prior to this sale, working under assumptions that it all goes the way we hope.
Accepting the bid, and then Mark and whoever would work on the contract to come up with.
Right, I guess I would say that, yes, the lawyers have to sign off on it, but at the end of the day, it's the two parties negotiating is what
Right.
makes the.
But in order to get it finalized, Mark has to be at least part and parcel of the discussion.
Sure.
And then if he has any questions, then they can be clarified.
And do you have somebody, Jeremy, that you're working with who's gonna represent you as far as that goes?
Maybe.
Cool.
I got it from maybe Edgar, so.
Nice.
Okay.
But hell no. So.
All we can do is what we can do, and then everybody else has to do their own thing.
Right. But I say that the last thing I'd want is to be sitting here and everything's works out and you have nothing done.
Well, I don't think our attorney, first thing is our attorney has to review the specifications and what was turned in. Then, once we've approved the bid, then Mark.
Are you speaking as far as were the bid specs met by the application?
Right,
Okay, that makes more sense.
Okay.
okay, that's what I'm talking about. That's
Yeah,
what
I
we did
understand
with
that.
Mark
Okay.
2 years ago,
Yeah.
okay? In other words, does he have any concerns?
Yeah. Which may put you under the gun to have representation as far as, you know, the language and just the nature of how this is written out. You know, there's probably more potential lawyery loopholes that could be, you know, that you want coverage on.
We just need to take it in steps. and not stop. I mean, we can't draw up a contract until we have
Right.
the specifications or the bid accepted.
You can have an outline of what you need and
We
discuss
have that already,
what.
we have the first contract.
So I think there may be some other caveats that.
Right, I mean, it's gonna have to be added to.
Sure.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, I don't go through the reinvent the wheel.
Does anybody have any questions about where we're at on that? Okay. We're in the middle of nowhere.
Sounds like.
Thank you for being here. And if you need to take off.
Sorry, I didn't have a synopsis.
Well, I'm sorry to put you on the spot. I figured you would see if that conformed in your mind to what your committee put out as specifications. Let's see. Can we go, let's go with you on the.
Are we gonna have any more discussion on this?
Yes.
I've got some questions.
Okay,
With,
go ahead.
Jeremy.
Yeah, that's what I said. Has
Okay.
anybody got any more questions?
I thought you were just talking about that
No,
one
no,
specific.
no, please.
What, on your backup, have you had conversations with the hospital, like, if your crew is out on a call and you get a second call?
Yeah, we'd had mutual aid agreements, which we do now, excuse me, with Horizon and the other
Right.
surrounding agencies.
Yeah, I know I talked with Sam and, she said that she talked with you. And they're planning on, if, you need their help, they're more than willing to come and help, They've obviously got 3 crews, unless they're tied up or something, but, that's a concern, I know I guess it's no different than what you have now, and you plan on continuing what you currently have
Correct.
in place with the other agencies.
Correct.
All right. I know I've been told that there's been some issues with the ambulances. I don't know whether it was engines, transmission, I can't remember now what it. Have those issues been resolved, and, if you get, if this all works out where you get the bid to buy the equipment, are you gonna be buying junk, or are they satisfactory now?
We're, excuse me, they're replacing an engine in one of the ambulances now,
Okay,
so,
Under warranty for the
under
most part.
warranty from Jasper.
so that was the issue, the engine?
Yeah,
Okay.
so the other ambulance has been rock solid this whole time, so.
Mhm. Your pickup truck, is it kinda like a backup, is that what it's?
It's a non-transport, so, especially right now, if we're running basics, on the ambulance, and I'm at home at night, or,
Mhm.
even if I can get away during the day at work,
Right.
I can respond, and then we can upgrade to paramedic.
Yeah, all right. And I know I've heard some talk about, something to do with the heart. I don't know what it even.
The heart monitor was
Heart
bought,
monitor, is that what it's called?
yeah, it was bought with, partially with, fire marshal grant funds.
Okay,
And I have talked with them, and they gave approval on how we can get rid of that and to dispose of it. It was either buy it out, and then they have to pay the money back to the fire
Right.
marshal, or give it to a nonprofit or
Right.
another government entity, and then they wouldn't have to pay it back.
so the plan now is that it goes to someone else and you will be without a heart monitor?
No, I won't be out without a heart monitor. We still got old heart monitors, which still meet FDA approval
Okay,
for now, and working out a deal to be able to take care of the new monitor,
okay,
so we can keep going forward.
all right, so that won't be an issue?
So it won't be an issue.
Okay.
Anything else, Carl?
No, not this time.
I would like to suggest that on the pickup truck, even though you might have a contract in whatever you have, because Kevin tried to explain, I would really highly suggest that that be part of the equipment bid, and will leave you less of a problem or the residual problems that might hold up stuff.
Yeah,
I would
and
suggest
the
that.
attorney's supposed to be including that in there.
Okay.
He's supposed to be, so.
Well, I talked to him and I don't know about you, but it's hard to really know where you're at sometimes. sometimes.
Yep.
But so, that's great, and I think that will save a lot of issues
Yeah.
in the long run, okay? Because these sideshows that come up sometimes do more damage than the big stuff.
Yeah.
Okay? Anything? Yes, ma'am, please.
The constituents of that area voted on what they wanted. The bid that you have to consider is giving the constituents what they were asking for. From Horizon's standpoint, we have supported Jeremy in his operation, and we will continue to support Jeremy in his operation. This is not a money-making venture for anybody, and I think you guys have all known that for many, many, many years. His heart is in the right place. He is trying to do what is the absolute best, which is give that area an ambulance within close proximity to a tragedy. I would hope that you all would, based off of our performance thus far and my guidance with him, that you all would consider that as you are deciding your bid vote.
We appreciate what you've given us so far. We appreciate that advice. Thank you.
If there is a lapse in coverage, I know he is working towards determining if what would happen should that June date vacillate. We have told him we would be in support of him in whatever way we could, so that that end of the county would not have a lapse in coverage, if you will. No one is going to call 911 and not get an ambulance out of him or out of him.
And the board that currently operates the ambulance service, it said they would operate to their best ability with your cooperation for as long as we needed to get everything settled. Is that not correct?
Correct.
Okay. So we'll just see what happens in the next couple of days. We're probably gonna have to have a special meeting soon anyway, if we can't do it on Wednesday, and it may be, do you have any idea how Mark was approaching it? Augie?
Well, he was hoping it wouldn't be due this Wednesday.
Okay.
So
didn't know
I
whether-
think he thinks, I think
He doesn't expect us to take any action on the bid this Wednesday.
that, I believe that would be
But we don't
Yeah.
want him to think that we're waiting
a month.
a month either,
Okay.
okay? I
Okay.
mean, we want to, as Derek has outlined, we want to move forward like we were gonna approve the bid, like we're gonna do this, and some of the other places will fall, some of the other pieces will fall into place,
Right.
such as the transfer, the legal transfer of the land, equipment, and vehicles, okay?
I communicated that to him.
If you could.
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Thank you.
to take a look at this in advance, to start preparing for a, potential contract,
Okay.
so.
Thanks. All right, I think that subject is taking place. Did you get the email that we got on the courthouse ad for capacity of 1 to 2 tons? Have you seen that yet?
I don't think, when did I
Hernandez sent that out last night at about
just?
6:30. Okay, well, he says that we have, according to Sycamore, we can add capacity to the courthouse if we
Okay.
want to.
Okay.
So if you would look into
Good.
that,
Oh, I know it.
it does not have a price.
So in other words,
tag.
for the basement.
Yes, I
Okay,
understand,
good.
yes.
Okay,
So we need to see, number one is what it costs also,
okay.
and how that's gonna fit in, whether we need to buy that outright rather than add anything to what we're already committed to.
I get, that'll determine the cost, I assume,
Right.
so, okay, I'll get a cost on that, I assume that'll come out of Sycamore
Right.
and see what.
It,
okay.
it says right in the memo to go ahead and get a hold of the guy, Travis, or whatever his name is from Sycamore.
Larry Gallagher,
No.
Travis, okay, Travis is one of them.
Anyway, his name and his phone number
Okay.
are right there in the
Okay.
memo.
I'll take care
And I
of that.
can't remember. Everybody know what we're talking about as far as heating up the basement a little bit
You
more?
might forward that to me, cause I looked at mine this morning, I didn't see anything from Hernandez,
Okay.
so.
before you get out of here. Wind farms. Would you, I think you've already got yours. Would you pass, see you, man, would you pass that around? And then there's a thing that came out last night again. People, I guess, don't have lives, so they send out memos, but this is from our United Counties saying that this thing, well, let's take it one step at a time. The committee has recommended those particular changes.
Is there
Not,
Did you get one of these? Or you already got everything?
I made copies of everything.
Russ gave me one, but
Yeah,
I'm
that's
asking
fine.
just
I made
everybody,
8.
you made 8?
Yes.
Thank you.
So, it's not a unanimous presentation. We have dropped one of the big things, we all agree on, you'll see it highlighted in there, changes in everything but the setback. And John and I would like to see a setback of 2,600, and Lisa would still like to see the 3,250. So the committee is recommending the 2,600 based upon what we know and what we have. Yeah, there's no target that you can say that's where we wanna be, okay? You can't say 3,250 is right, you can't say 2,600, you can't say 1,650. But please remember that we had 1,000 setback before all this started. And we're now going to 26, recommending the 2,600. So what I'd like to see you folks do is, if you can, it's highlighted in what's been changed and where. We've addressed everything from flicker to noise to training,
For our local fire departments.
well issues because of turbine leakage of oil. I mean, there's a myriad of things in there that we've fine-tuned based upon what's out there in the field. Is it perfect? Will this stand for 20 years or 5 years or 10 years? Probably not. We're gonna have to keep reviewing it. Go ahead.
I'm just curious, you said there's some presently now being decommissioned?
Not in here.
Well,
Not here, no.
No, in
But-
California.
In
and some of the-
California?
Right.
And they are being decommissioned now. So in other words, all the money you spent on them, there's not, it's not like the computer chips that get better and better and cheaper and,
there was some talk though that they wouldn't necessarily like anything else. They're thinking they can go in to some of the current towers and upgrade.
okay,
So you don't always have to take one down to put one up.
okay.
But I haven't really read a lot about it. But, yeah, there are always some being taken down.
And these are old ones. These aren't 5, 10 years old. In
Right, these are
California,
some
some
of
of
the
these have
originals.
been around for 25, 30 years.
Okay.
So the technology back then may not have been upgradable,
Yeah.
if that's a word.
Okay,
Whereas some of the stuff that's now out and the technology makes it possible for them to maybe retrofit, we don't know. I mean, we have not changed our approach to decommissioning now. We have separated the county from decommissioning so that we're not in 25 years or 20 years attaching our taxpayers and our citizens with decommissioning.
okay.
And
So
as soon
how is the decommissioning addressed? I mean,
in individual contracts, which is required.
Our only part on that is that we have it built into there to make sure that their insurance is current.
Plus, in their citing, the things that they present us will include a decommissioning plan and how they've approached it with their agreements with private landowners.
and we haven't set up any criteria on what that has to be. We're just gonna look at it and then we have to say that's good enough or it's not good enough.
Yes, at the time, and that's what was suggested to us by our attorneys. because we don't know what may never happen. It may happen after new revelations on development of these issues, we just don't know. And which I'm gonna point out to you, yes, already. And I'll pass these out. The state of Illinois, Senate Bill 1602, here, Andy, has it that they're gonna start taking a lot of power away from the counties to even do any of this. I still think we need to charge forward till it's finally passed. If it's passed, we don't know what the final form is. We just go by that. Now, if they pass something, the way they're saying it now is that you have to look at the state criteria and you have to make changes in our current ordinance or the current ordinance you have within 120 days to have it fall within the criteria that the state is going to put on it. So we'll see. Public hearings, etc. Well, go ahead, what? Yeah, we were gonna talk about that, yes.
Back to your decommissioning question, do you have a copy of what Jeff had sent out about changes?
Yeah,
Okay.
everybody has.
Look on page 11,
Okay, that's where I'm at.
okay, at the bottom. So, like Jeff was saying, number one is at the point of this project, and then D is trying to make sure that they remain current on what they estimate that it will be, but, and E. But as far as the actual commitment, that's based on the landowner's contract. Something else though that I thought, I was really glad that we put in, was on page 6 about minimal lighting. Which goes on to page 7. And then page 8 on pre and post well inspections, there can be two different problems that I've seen complaints about. One is oil leaking, contaminating groundwater, and the other is, depending on how they install them, that if they're, I'm not gonna say this right, if they're pounding it in, it can affect quality of groundwater. And I've certainly seen some examples of that shared. The other is on page 9. And I was glad that we had John and Jeff and I had quite a bit of conversation on this. And last year with our field fires, it makes it more in my mind about how quick a field fire could occur. And, all it would take would, whatever malfunction there would be, or if there was lightning strike on one of those. And again, and it's also an opportunity for some additional training. It's additional training and money, and how they would learn it here, they could apply to other situations. And then we did put in some shadow flicker information on there on 10, page 10. So our revisiting did give us a good opportunity to strengthen up some language and think about some things we hadn't thought about before. And we used some other counties' ordinances to take a look at it, and we didn't just go verbatim, we had some good discussion on it. Sometimes we thought perhaps theirs was a little too restrictive.
Or that they really interfered with
Right.
local owners versus business. I mean, there has to be, and that can be addressed in how they put together their package for citing and their permit. And that's where the attorneys then can look at it more carefully, if we get to that point. So if you would look at it, I'd appreciate that, and then we can set aside a study session. Obviously, if when we go to pass it or not pass it at a regular meeting, we can make sure that it's known that we're out there. But if you want, I didn't know what we left, whether we wanted to make sure we advertised a study session where we were getting into it, we could. I didn't know what direction the board would like to say. We don't need to have a public hearing, but I think it might be relevant to make sure that everybody understands that we're going to be more formally discussing it previous to actually taking a vote on it. And we could do that here in the next couple, or month or two, okay? Does that make sense? So we would do that. While we're talking about that, we're gonna have some updates coming up on the jail/justice project. We're gonna get our first full-blown evaluation or update on 4/26, which is the study session. And the planner from Coles County is gonna come in and kind of bring you up to date. And if you ask why now, we really haven't had a lot going until the last 2 or 3 weeks. There's been a lot to happen, so it makes sense to have it now. Then on 5/7, which is the next study session, the architects/engineers are gonna come in and do an update based upon what they have found out as far as the current jail and populations and et cetera about the jail, okay?
You said 5/7 on the study session,
Yeah, these are both study sessions.
7's on Friday.
5/7?
It's Friday.
Oh, I'm sorry. It would be,
That's-
5/10.
is it-
yeah, it's 5/10. Sorry about
That's
that.
okay, that's fine.
And it's
Writing down anything, I
4/26,
wanna make sure
right?
it's the right one.
4/26.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
26
one's
would be
right.
correct.
I probably was looking at the wrong month, so we've gotta fit it in there. Yes,
On the wind farms, how to determine the taxes to pay? Is there something in here about the taxes? They
There-
pay taxes to the county?
we can get that from you, for you if you want. There's actually a formula that the state has not asked to use, but actually is what the supervisor of assessment is supposed to use, okay? But that is, there's no sense in regurgitating that because it's already in state law.
Okay. I just wondered, just in Pike County, the wind farm there owed them $607,000,
Which-
remember?
It did get
it,
paid,
but
yeah.
Took a while. So I just wondered how they determine the amount of tax.
There's a formula that the state has given every county to use, same formula, to determine, and it's based upon output, maximum output of that particular generator, particular tower,
Okay.
okay? Let's see. I wanna let you know that the audit has proceeded, all the on-site audit is done for, our general audit. They have conducted a commissary audit of the jail that hadn't been done for a number of years. And they briefed the sheriff, Derek, and Don on it about how it needs to proceed for the future as far as what they have to do as paperwork and all that stuff.
Okay.
And some of that, not nefarious in any way, shape, or form, but some of the stuff wasn't getting done correctly, and that's all gonna be nobody's fault, it's just,
Then no.
yeah, so we're gonna, they've given us this
Guidelines.
forms and guidance on how to proceed. And then Don can monitor through the year, and then we'll probably go through one more audit through them for the commissary. And then if it's all corrected and everything else, then we can probably back off to Don for a couple of years. And then every so many years have the audit firm go ahead and do it. So we just make sure we're keeping up to date and we don't have any loose ends hanging around that we could be chastised for. Let's see, budget, we're in the process. I haven't talked to Lisa, and who else is on the budget committee? I forget, there's one more person. At any rate, we're gonna start working on the Fed relief budget, we have to create a new budget, which would be a, what's the word? It's an update, it's a new one, other than like the general fund, 100, 200, 300, all that. There'll be like 1,000 budget that will set out the income and expenditures that you guys will be reviewing in May, hopefully. So, we're supposed to get money into that fund in May sometime, so we'll look forward to seeing how much that is and so forth. The airport payment for the, I can't remember, they got so many names for the COVID fund, through Division of Aviation or Aeronautics, finally came in after 6 months of 20 grand. We got that. And our airport manager has reviewed and signing the contracts for engineering, which is paid for except for 5% through the Division of Aeronautics, also for reworking of the taxiways this year, that we let that contract last year. And that's by open road. They're gonna grind up all of the taxiway and then resurface it. Okay? Courthouse and budget, payouts, audit. We got a note, believe it or not, I think Friday night from, or actually a letter from Mary Miller asking us to submit projects that she would like to help us fund. We had included the courthouse and squad cars. Give her a choice of a small project, like 3 or 4 police cars, and a large project, which would be part and parcel of the courthouse. And that's what we were gonna submit to them for their consideration. It's basically not the whole plan, it's just, she sent us an invitation to submit projects, and then they'll come back in and look at in-depth each project to see what can be done and what can't be done. So, Aaron, I gave that to Aaron this morning, like I said, I just got it in. Josh is out, he is under quarantine right now till Wednesday. So he'll be back on Thursday, it's due the 26th, which is this Friday. So he'll probably start working on it from home. Any questions about that?
Is this for the infrastructure money?
No, that has, this is a, what do they call them, Gary, earmarks?
Earmark,
You know,
walking around money, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right,
Yep. Originally, they weren't gonna participate in it, a lot of the
right,
congressmen, now they are.
okay.
So, we have several choices as far as that goes, okay? Agenda items, and then you guys can get in. Let's see, we're gonna have a resolution to amend Medicare benefits, we haven't done it since 13. And what we did was we took our employees and looked at what they were having to pay out. It's currently, they get $305, and we were gonna increase that to $330 based upon an ongoing average for our employees. So that would be increased by $25 a month. Let's see. We have Ray Young gonna be, go for a 2-year term for the board of review, and I've discussed that with a couple people. Let's see, we've got a bunch of folks that we're going to appoint to fire protection districts. Mostly fire protection districts. And I've talked to most of the boards, asking them if everything's kosher, and that's what they'd like to see happen. We've got the ambulance bid that looks like we'll just defer that until the next meeting. We need to have a special session on contracts, union contracts, and the contracts for the ambulance service. Just briefly, nothing in depth, no action will be taken. So,
Meet today or Wednesday?
right now,
Right now.
just to give us a little guidance. I guess we could hold off till Wednesday, but it,
No, I didn't know what, okay.
I was just thinking, it's not gonna be long, I don't think.
Yeah.
So, do you have any, sorry I talked so much, but do you have anything, Dan?
Complaints about the health department, the vaccinations, but that's been ongoing, so I just kinda ignore it anymore. They're doing the best job they can, so I think they're doing a great job, really.
They've got 4 days a week set up now,
Yeah,
and
You're not gonna
they're
keep
giving
people
out
happy, you
hundreds
know
of.
that.
Pardon?
You're not gonna make people
No, I
happy.
know, it just, I
There's
give
always
up on
somebody.
And they're down to 18 on the Johnson & Johnson, they're down to 16, I'm sorry, 16 and over on
Right.
Johnson & Johnson.
No, it's
pretty
not to
good, I
make
think.
people happy.
And Moderna, you can pretty much, they've got two days a week for Moderna and 2 days a week for Johnson & Johnson. Isn't that what you understand right now?
And I know they've changed the age, and when I talked to them last week for a story that's upcoming, they say they have plenty of supplies. Their problem is, they can't get people to fill the slots.
Right, right, yeah, and not the ones that complain about us.
I've tried to tell everybody I ran
I
into.
have
It
to,
doesn't make any sense.
no, it doesn't.
Piss and moan a bitch, and you got the opportunity, don't take it or what?
Other than that, nothing.
That's it.
Some things take some effort.
Did you have anything else, Andy?
No, I'm just working on some of the lighting issues at the courthouse, and they're not super severe, but they just need to be taken care of, so
Sure.
other than that, I did get that email, came through at 8:30 this morning.
Okay,
I'd already looked and gone by then, so
yeah, that's fine. So I don't have to
I'll
say.
get back with him on that.
Russ, do you have anything? Earl?
Did that other power company, windmill company ever contact you about a meeting up north?
Nothing, how about you?
No, I
haven't heard
assume
of
they're
it.
waiting to find out whether we have no control.
Yeah, I assume that they're all spending all their money on lobbyists right now.
At the Apex company,
Yes,
They're still working hard on Vermillion County, Indiana, so I'm kinda surprised they haven't been on us.
I don't know,
Maybe it's just because it's a different state.
could be.
yeah,
Anything else? Gordon?
and
How about the 911?
Before I forget it, we'll talk of contract with the union when we have our
Right,
thing. 911, no,
you didn't mind me bringing up about the
No.
bill, did you?
no, we'll get that worked out
I know,
as far as the.
we can't do anything till we get the, I
union
was just a little
contract.
surprised that they didn't realize they would, because they paid us in the past,
Right.
when they've something,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter, as long as.
I hadn't had any conversations with Nanette since back in November.
Well, they got taken care of.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
didn't realize, I know one of the dispatchers, and she was talking about how great it is with the setup they have now.
okay.
She made a comment to that effect.
The what?
Not McCoskey, used to be McCoskey was
So
their
much
last
setup
name,
they have now.
but she's talking about how great the situation is now.
The dispatch is
Yeah,
totally moved
dispatch
to
is
the
right.
back,
Okay.
so they
Made a nice
appreciate
comment.
that.
Out of the way of
Right.
knocking each other's hair now.
Yes,
Yeah.
I saw a figure when I was reading the minutes that the total, not the total cost, but the cost to make that move, 911 spent like $62,000
Yeah.
just for changing things.
toilets and,
Yeah,
you know.
and then of course they had to buy new equipment, some new PSAP equipment. I'm guessing it's over $100,000 to move back from the front to the back.
But that's not, to them, that's just pocket change, right?
I would
Well-
say that.
I don't know about
The legal
that.
obligations
say
of what may have happened in there probably is over.
Sorry about it, don't put
It's
dates,
cheap.
sorry.
No, you know, some people would describe it as that, but it's not.
That's
No,
a lot of money.
I understand
That's a lot
that.
of
A lot of money for
No, you didn't say
moving one
anything.
room.
Yeah, but, I think, probably a lot of you maybe might not be aware of it. I think they've got like total of $600-some thousand in 911 fund money.
But aren't they gonna have to spend
Well, they did, we've already spent a lot of money.
Plus they
That-
got, and it got them a pretty good, a couple $100,000
Yeah,
grant.
she wrote a grant that paid for a lot of that.
Yeah.
And they got probably over half of it. I think she said there's another 140,000 coming in the next few months. So that helped defer a lot of that. Next gen is what they call it, but, somewhere. I think it's around $650,000 they've got in 911 funds currently. They're looking at the possibility of buying a new radio console. The current one is 11 or 12 years old. And at the end of this year, they're no longer gonna service it.
There's no support for it.
Kinda like your computer programs.
And the Supreme Radio was there today, and they made a presentation, and I think the cost is like $138,000 for a new console.
If you buy it outright.
Yeah, so, you know, that's something, they pushed it off for another month to get some more information. But basically, before the end of the year, we gotta do something.
Yeah.
So, that's all I have on that.
No?
Nope.
Lisa? Augie?
Give you a brief report. Of course, the election's over with, and normally we have to wait, well, the law says we have to wait 14 days in order to see what kind of vote by mail ballots come in. And then after that 14th day, we have 7 days to canvass the votes. Well, I'm pleased to report that our last vote by mail ballot came in on Friday, so we can start finishing up and putting everything to bed this week. And so we'll be way ahead of the game so that I can send out certificates of election to all those people that won their election, their race. Then they can go ahead and schedule their meeting so they can get installed in their new positions. So that's the trigger point, is the official canvass of the vote. So that all is gonna happen very quickly, and so I'm pleased with that, get it behind us. 13% turnout, as you probably have seen or heard. That's, it's not great, but it's 13%, so. Along those lines, yes, I do want to take the opportunity to thank everybody, because it seems like next month when it comes around, this will be old news. So I want to thank everybody for helping out this year. Staff, election judges, just everybody that just lends a hand or a word of encouragement. That means a lot, so thanks to everybody.
Thanks to you. A motion to go in, I'm sorry, is there anything else that we haven't covered right now? Then I need a motion to go in to closed session for contract union negotiations and contract negotiations on ambulance service, area 2. Andy moves, Phil seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
The airport annual meeting.
Let's see, we're back on, when is the airport annual meeting? We don't have one as such, we have a planning meeting over in Springfield, that if you would like to go to, that our engineer meets us over there with the airport manager and then a couple of one or two board members.
If it gets in,
Yeah, it's fun, and you get to meet some of the folks that,
and that's probably all I wanna know.
it's fun.
Are you on the airport board?
No.
Oh.
That's one thing I said,
No, she thought I had, remember when Augie put her on there with the, just to, and she's going. Motion to adjourn, please, folks. Okay, Andy moves,
Second.
No, they don't anymore. We got one.
Who seconded?
I did.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Uh,
Opposed, nay.
I'm gonna vote no.
We're